We're breaking into our regular programming to bring you a live briefing from the South Korean health authorities on the coronavirus outbreak. In just a few moments now, we're going to cut into the briefing room at the Sejong Government Complex with simultaneous interpretation available in English. We're going to go into the briefing room right now, where Kim Gang-rip, overall coordinator of the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters, will be sharing the latest figures and updates on the COVID-19 situation in the country. So we are just about to do that now. And as you can see, Mr. Kim Gang-rip is going to take to the podium in just a few moments. And he will be sharing with us the latest statistics, how many people have been infected with COVID-19. And he's just taken to the podium, so it looks like the briefing's just about to begin.
Today we also have Cho Myung-yeon from the Education Ministry, Mr. Kang Dae-geum from the Culture Ministry, and Mr. Kim Dong-wook from the Labor Ministry, and Mr. Kim Yong-jae from the Food and Drug Safety Administration. We also have sign language translation available. Here is Mr. Kim Gang-rip for the briefing on the coronavirus outbreak. Let us now begin our regular briefing for April 24th, Friday. As of today midnight, we have 6 new confirmed cases, and people under treatment amount to 1,967. We have a death toll of 240, and very fortunately, we did not have any additional fatalities yesterday. And out of the 6 new confirmed cases, 4 were reported here in the country, and 2 were imported cases. The Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures Headquarters held a meeting this morning presided over by Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun to discuss agendas including the transitioning into the everyday life quarantine measures, as well as the reopening of the schools and the supply and demand of face masks. And Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun said in this morning's meeting that the social distancing measures, especially for the subcategories, are very crucial and are vital to keep the safety of the individuals as well as community. And this, he believes, that will be stationed as our new norms. And as for the face masks, they have been, thanks to the public's understanding and consideration, we were able to stabilize the rotation scheme for public face masks, and the individual quota for public mask purchasing will be increased to 3 starting from next week. Meanwhile, he also said that starting from 27th of April, in order to have a better control of those who are on self-quarantine, we will introduce a relief band and upgrade our application. And he said that we will have a stricter penalty on those who've breached the guidelines. And today, for 2 straight days, we have an on-day increase hovering at a single digit, and we have no new death. And the number of people in quarantine under treatment have been lower than the 2,000 mark, which is very significant. This was possible thanks to the public's support and participation in enhanced social distancing for the past few weeks. However, we are highlighting this numerous times, but we still see a global pandemic globally, and we still not yet have an effective vaccine and treatment for COVID-19. And considering that we need a certain amount of time to have these vaccines and therapeutics developed, we need to prepare ourselves for a prolonged outbreak. And many experts here at home and abroad say that the outbreak could be prolonged for about 2 years, and we believe that we need to acknowledge the fact that it is difficult for us to go back to our pre-COVID-19 lives. And to this end, the government, in order to facilitate ordinary daily lives and economic activities, we need to curb the further community spread at the same time. And that is why we have been preparing to transition into the everyday life quarantine guidelines, especially for workplaces, public transportation, restaurants and cafes, and recreational facilities. We aim to target all of these different locations to be included in the guidelines to be provided soon to the public. And at the current status, the government is preparing specific guidelines, and at the same time, we are trying to make sure that these are practical and they can be complied by the public in the daily lives. However, it is very important to acknowledge that there could be difficulties in balancing these two, and we need to go through thorough discussions. This is the unprecedented outbreak that we are witnessing here in South Korea, and in order to successfully transition into the everyday life quarantine guidelines, we need to establish new orders and new guidelines one by one with the cooperation of the public, government, as well as the experts. So I ask for your wisdom as well. And social distancing guidelines, as well as for the individuals and community, is as follows. And from the 24th of April, we have discussed the measures to provide guidelines for the community and individuals. And today we are releasing specific guidelines for different locations. And they will be finalized going forward after accumulating the experts' opinions. And currently 12 ministries have provided these sub-guidelines for 31 different locations. These draft guidelines will be provided to the public as soon as possible, and these will be finalized after having a time for the public to be educated on these guidelines, and they have been established based on such principles. And in order to touch upon every corner of the daily lives, we have three major categories of workplace, recreation, and public spaces. And they also include shopping centers, special days, and travels, and religion activities, a total of 9 subcategories. And by location, we have divided into office space, public transportation, theaters, and so forth, and we have a very specific categories. And in order to abide by the needs of the public, they will be in the form of for the users and for the supervisors of these facilities, and they are released today, and they are just a draft today. And going forward, we will be opening to more opinions of the experts, and we will come up with a finalized version which can be satisfied by our public and our experts as well. And to have a successful guidelines, it is very important to have a strike of balance. And the government is opening our ears to the opinions of many experts from all circles of life. And these guidelines are available on the COVID-19 homepage, the homepage of of the Health Ministry, as well as other ministries. And the finalized version will be rolled out under the further negotiations of the KCDC. And preparing for our reopening of the schools, we have some of the updates. And after we have practiced social distancing and preparing ourselves to go into everyday life quarantine measures, we are looking at some 20,000 new schools nationwide. And we have talked about the issue of having distance among students and having different school hours for children. And we have completed the negotiation on these areas. And also the hand disinfections that will be used by the students, as well as the pilot drills for any possible outbreak have also been under discussion. And we will be fully prepared so that we have no further spread of the COVID-19 through our schools. And the following is a intensified measure on those who breach the self-quarantine measures. And the people who are on self-quarantine measures have actually increased significantly after we have put a mandatory self-quarantine measures after the 1st of April. And however, these had been steadily decreasing, and now it reaches about 400,000. And after April 1st, we have seen less spread of the COVID-19 among these inbound travelers through the community. However, we still see a need to enhance our control on these people. Therefore, we would like to utilize our ICT technology. And first of all, for those who go away from their routes, we will have them to wear relief bands. Starting from 27th of April, this will be implemented. If they breach these measures, the local municipal government officials, together with the police officers, will be dispatched to the scene so that they will have to wear the relief bands. And if this person opposes to the idea of wearing the band, he or she will be moved to a designated facility, and he or she needs to pay for that expense. And we will also upgrade our application so that if there are no certain movement on the mobile phones, there will be an alarm. And if this is not checked, we will also dispatch a local municipal government official to the site. And utilizing GIS and GPS, we will identify the location on where this person is at. And moreover, through the phone calls, we will monitor the health conditions, and we will increase this by one more monitoring, and we will have a total of 3 monitoring telephone calls per day. And many people, I believe that many people are scheduling outings or gatherings or travels during the weekend. And we believe that until May 5th, we advise you to refrain from any outings and travels. And if you use outdoor facilities, please do refrain from dining together in a large cluster of people. And please avoid going to crowded places. And please have certain physical distance so that you don't have the risk of droplet infection with other people. Moreover, when you go to crowded places, please wash your hands thoroughly and keep your coughing etiquette as well. The situations due to the COVID-19 outbreak is being prolonged for several months now, and I believe many of the public are feeling fatigue about our social distancing measures. But please remember that we were able to have a better control of the COVID-19, and we are transitioning into a safer society thanks to all of your participation. If we ease on our social distancing, we will have a risk of further widespread cluster infection. Please remember that your individual behavior could bring a halt on not only your lives, but to the everyday lives to all of the others as well. And just as you did, please continue to cooperate with the quarantine authorities so that we can have a successful combat over the COVID-19, even this situation prolongs. And for the public, we once again advise you to continue our social distancing measures until May 5th. And please abide by your personal hygiene measures and look after each and every one of your health. Thank you very much.
Well, that was a live briefing from South Korean health authorities. You just heard they're updating us on the COVID-19 situation here in the country. We've just heard that there were 6 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total to 10,708 infection cases in the country. There were no additional deaths. However, the government is strongly advising the public to maintain social distancing as this is a global pandemic. Well, that concludes our coverage of this morning's briefing. We'll be back in just a little while at 12 p.m. Korea time with our midday news. Bye for now.